The Second Punic War. The Second Punic War was the greatest conflict between two ancient superpowers, the Roman Republic and Carthage. The war became legendary due to the appearance of one of history's most outstanding military generals, Hannibal Barca. The war erupted when Hannibal launched an unprecedented bold strategy against Rome, famously crossing the Alps with war elephants, catching the Romans by surprise. In legendary battles such as Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and especially Cannae in 216 BCE, Hannibal demonstrated military genius, almost completely annihilating Roman armies with perfect encirclement tactics. Despite significant military victories, Hannibal lacked the resources and reinforcements to decisively end the war. Gradually recovering from severe initial defeats, Rome decided to avoid direct confrontations, shifting to a war of attrition. Meanwhile, Roman general Scipio Africanus launched a daring campaign, directly attacking Carthage, forcing Hannibal to return home to defend his homeland. In 202 BCE, at the Battle of Zama in North Africa, military geniuses Hannibal and Scipio clashed. This time, Rome prevailed due to careful preparation and flexible tactics. The war ended in Carthage's severe defeat, stripping it of all territories outside Africa and forcing it to pay massive war reparations to Rome. The Second Punic War was not only a major battle, but also a crucial turning point that propelled Rome to dominance over the Mediterranean, paving the way for the creation of one of history's greatest empires, while permanently ending Carthage's expansionist ambitions. Three Kingdoms War. The Three Kingdoms War was a long and brutal conflict that lasted from 220 to 280 CE, following the collapse of the Han dynasty. The empire had already been weakened by widespread corruption among the aristocracy, a decline in imperial authority, and large-scale uprisings such as the Yellow Turban Rebellion. The crisis reached its peak in 220 when Cao Pi forced Emperor Xian of Han to abdicate, establishing the state of Wei and plunging China into 6 decades of chaos. The empire soon fractured into 3 major factions: Wei, controlling the north under Cao Pi, Shu Han in the southwest led by Liu Bei and his brilliant strategist Zhuge Liang, and Eastern Wu in the southeast ruled by Sun Quan. These rival states engaged in relentless warfare to expand and consolidate their power. One of the most decisive battles was the Battle of Red Cliffs, 208 CE, where the numerically inferior Shu-Wu alliance dealt a crushing defeat to Cao Cao, father of Cao Pi. This battle effectively halted Wei's ambitions of reunifying China for decades. For years, the war remained in a military stalemate until a new force emerged, the Jin dynasty. In 263 CE, Jin forces conquered Shu Han, and by 280 CE they overpowered Eastern Wu, finally uniting China and ending the prolonged conflict. The Three Kingdoms War was one of the deadliest in history, claiming an estimated 34 million lives, devastating the economy and severely weakening centralized governance. Beyond its destruction, the war left a lasting legacy in Chinese history, offering profound lessons on power struggles, military strategy, and the far-reaching consequences of prolonged warfare. Timur's conquests, or Tamerlane, 1370–1405, are regarded as some of the most brutal military campaigns in Central Asian and Middle Eastern history. Timur, born into a Turkic-Mongol nomadic tribe from modern-day Uzbekistan, saw himself as the heir to Genghis Khan's legacy. Driven by ambitions to restore the glory of the ancient Mongol Empire, Timur embarked on a series of bloody military campaigns across Eurasia. Timur's initial and most notable conquest was Persia, where he destroyed major cities such as Isfahan and Shiraz, massacring their populations mercilessly. Many cities saw drastic population declines, some losing vitality for decades. After subduing Persia, Timur advanced westward, defeating the Ottoman Empire at the Battle of Ankara in 1402, and capturing Sultan Bayezid I. This victory shook the Islamic world and elevated Timur to unprecedented dominance over vast territories. Not stopping there, Timur invaded India in 1398, devastating Delhi, slaughtering tens of thousands, and looting immense wealth. Timur's campaigns were typically marked by terror tactics designed to intimidate and force unconditional surrender. Timur died in 1405 while preparing to invade Ming China, leaving behind a dual legacy: immense destruction with millions dead, yet also significant cultural patronage, turning Samarkand into a major artistic center of the era. 100 Years' War. The Hundred Years' War was a prolonged and devastating conflict between England and France, lasting from 1337 to 1453. It stemmed from territorial disputes and competing claims to the French throne by the English monarchy. The war featured several key phases, with England initially gaining significant victories due to superior military tactics, such as at the Battle of Agincourt 1415, where the English longbowmen decimated the French cavalry. However, the tide gradually turned in favor of France, especially with the emergence of Joan of Arc, who inspired French forces to reclaim lost territories. The war ended in 1453 with France regaining most of its land, solidifying the rule of the Valois dynasty. The conflict reshaped both nations. England experienced political instability, while France emerged as a strong centralized kingdom. The war also marked the decline of feudal chivalry and the rise of early modern warfare. Crusades. The Crusades were a series of major religious wars that took place from 1096 to 1291, lasting nearly 200 years. These wars were fought between Western European Christian forces and Islamic kingdoms in the Middle East. The primary motivation behind the Crusades stemmed from the desire of the Pope and European nobility to reclaim Jerusalem and the Holy Land, which had been under Muslim control since the 7th century. Christian warriors from across Europe enthusiastically joined the cause, viewing the war as a sacred mission. The Crusades began with the First Crusade 1096-1099, which surprisingly ended in victory for the Christian forces when they captured Jerusalem in 1099. However, subsequent crusades became increasingly complex, leading to prolonged conflicts. The Third Crusade was particularly famous for the rivalry between King Richard I of England, Richard the Lionheart, and Sultan Saladin of Egypt and Syria, yet it ended inconclusively, with neither side securing a decisive victory. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 turned into a tragic event when Christian forces, instead of fighting Muslims, attacked Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, causing a major rift within the Christian world. Spanning nearly 2 centuries, the Crusades profoundly reshaped the political, economic, and social landscapes of both Europe and the Middle East. Millions perished due to battles and diseases, and hostilities between different cultures deepened, persisting for centuries. However, the Crusades also facilitated cultural and scientific exchanges, ultimately contributing to Europe's Renaissance. Mongol Conquests. The Mongol Conquests 1206–1368 were among the most remarkable and fearsome military campaigns in world history. They began when Genghis Khan united the nomadic tribes of Central Asia in 1206. With strict military discipline, rapid mobility, and highly flexible battle strategies, the Mongol army swiftly advanced into China, Persia, Europe, and the Middle East. Within less than half a century, the Mongols established the largest contiguous empire in history. Some of the world's wealthiest and most powerful cities, such as Baghdad, Kiev, and Beijing, fell to the Mongol forces. The invasion of Europe 1236–1242 spread terror across Eastern Europe, but halted when the great Khan Urgideh died, forcing the Mongols to retreat to elect a new leader. The consequences of the Mongol conquests were devastating, with an estimated death toll exceeding 40 million. However, the Mongols also forged unprecedented connections between Asian and European civilizations, leading to the most prosperous Silk Road trade networks in history. The empire created an extensive system of commerce and cultural exchange, profoundly altering the global landscape. Despite the bloodshed, the Mongol legacy shaped world history for centuries. 30 Years' War. The 30 Years' War 1618–1648 was one of the most brutal religious and political conflicts in European history, initially sparked by tensions between Protestant and Catholic factions within the Holy Roman Empire. The war quickly spread across the continent, drawing in major powers such as Spain, France, Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands. The conflict began with the infamous defenestration of Prague in 1618, when Protestant nobles rebelled against Emperor Ferdinand II's oppressive policies. The war unfolded in 4 distinct phases: Bohemian, Danish, Swedish, and French, each involving different European powers fighting for religious dominance, political ambitions, and territorial gains. Germany, which was the main battleground, suffered immense devastation, with its population declining by over a third due to war, famine, and disease. The violence claimed approximately 8 million lives and left Central Europe in economic and social ruin. The war finally ended with the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648, which marked the first widespread recognition of national sovereignty, laying the foundation for modern international relations. Despite bringing peace, the war left deep scars, economies collapsed, social structures were upended, and political fragmentation persisted for centuries. More than just a religious conflict, the 30 Years' War was a ruthless power struggle that permanently reshaped Europe. Napoleonic Wars. The Napoleonic Wars 1803–1815 were among the most dramatic and consequential conflicts in European history. Led by Napoleon Bonaparte, a brilliant French general, these wars stemmed from the upheaval of the French Revolution and Napoleon's ambition to dominate the continent. Despite facing numerous coalitions formed by European powers to stop him, Napoleon achieved unparalleled military success. In the early campaigns, Napoleon conquered most of Europe, winning decisive battles such as Austerlitz 1805, Jena 1806, and Friedland 1807, establishing French supremacy. However, his invasion of Spain turned into a prolonged and costly struggle, and his decision to invade Russia in 1812 proved disastrous. The harsh Russian winter and relentless counterattacks decimated his army, leading to a catastrophic retreat from Moscow. Sensing weakness, European powers united against Napoleon. In 1813, he was defeated at the Battle of Leipzig and forced to abdicate, leading to his exile on Elba. However, in a dramatic turn, he escaped and returned to power in 1815, only to suffer his final defeat at Waterloo against the British-Prussian coalition. This marked the end of his reign and ambitions of European domination. The Napoleonic Wars not only redrew Europe's political map, but also spread ideas of nationalism and liberalism across the continent. These wars profoundly influenced modern European identity and state building. Taiping Rebellion. The Taiping Rebellion 1850–1864 was one of the deadliest uprisings in human history, occurring in 19th century China. The rebellion was fueled by widespread discontent over corruption, oppression, famine, and the deteriorating rule of the Qing dynasty. Its leader, Hong Xiuquan, was a controversial figure who proclaimed himself the younger brother of Jesus, and sought to establish a heavenly kingdom in China based on Christian ideals. Initially, the Taiping movement gained massive support from impoverished peasants, growing into a formidable military force. In 1853, the rebels captured Nanjing, renaming it Tianjin, heavenly capital, and instituting radical reforms including land redistribution, gender equality, and communal ownership. However, internal conflicts soon weakened the movement. Hong Xiuquan became increasingly authoritarian and paranoid, leading to violent purges among his own ranks. The Qing dynasty, with assistance from Western powers, launched a relentless counteroffensive. After years of intense warfare, the Qing forces recaptured Nanjing in 1864, crushing the rebellion. The 14-year conflict claimed an estimated 20 to 30 million lives, making it one of the deadliest civil wars in history. Although the Taiping Rebellion ultimately failed, it severely weakened the Qing dynasty, paving the way for further upheavals that would eventually lead to China's modernization and the fall of the imperial system. World War I. World War I, 1914–1918, began with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in Sarajevo in 1914. The conflict quickly escalated into a global war with two opposing alliances: the Central Powers Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, and the Allied powers Britain, France, Russia, and later the United States. Contrary to expectations of a short war, it turned into a prolonged and brutal stalemate, especially on the Western Front. Soldiers were trapped in muddy trenches, facing machine guns, heavy artillery, and chemical weapons for the first time in history. Battles such as Verdun, the Somme, and Passchendaele epitomized the war's unprecedented brutality. World War I also marked the widespread use of modern warfare technologies, including tanks, airplanes, and poison gas, leading to over 16 million casualties. The war ended in 1918 with the defeat of the Central Powers. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 imposed harsh penalties on Germany, sowing the seeds for future instability and ultimately World War II. Beyond Europe, the war led to the collapse of empires, including the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, and Russian empires, reshaping global politics throughout the 20th century. And that's all for today's video. In this video, I've highlighted some of the most significant battles from each period in history, from ancient times to the medieval era. In the next video, I plan to focus more on modern events such as World War II, the Vietnam War, or the more recent conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Thank you for watching until the end. Goodbye, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos.